Welcome into the Armchair Illini podcast. This is the post-game reaction to the Illini's 89-70 win over the Maryland Terrapins, and we have Robby Nardini coming on to the show to break down all things about that big Illini win without Kylan Boswell. But first, Illini fans, the Armchair Illini podcast is fired up a team with Hamilton Walker's Seafood and Spirits, hands down the best dining experience in Champaign-Urbana. We're talking prime steaks, fresh seafood, and a vibe that's perfect after a big Illini win. And here's the game changer. Every single week of the season, we're giving away a $50 Hamilton Walker's gift card on our social media. That's right, Dinner on Armchair Illini. All you got to do is follow us on our social media platforms, the Substack newsletter, and follow Hamilton Walker's on Facebook, Instagram, and on X to get in on the action and experience Hamilton Walker's, where Champaign-Urbana comes to celebrate. Robby Nardini, 89-70 win. Just an amazing victory without Kylan Boswell.
Yeah, outstanding victory. I know Maryland isn't very good, but it was nice to get a 19-point win without our starting guard, Kylan Boswell. It was a nice, get-right game, or get used to playing without him, I should say, coming into the Purdue game and coming into some more games. That'll be difficult coming up. So Illinois 7-1 in the Big Ten, 16-3 overall. That definitely feels good to say.
Yeah, let's start with this comment. Thank you for commenting in. If you had any comments on this game, who had 4 threes from Andre on their bingo card? I certainly didn't. He's more of the driving threat compared to what his dad is. But tonight he tickled the net a lot from behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, was that Andre or was that Peja? I mean, he was, I think, 4 for 5 at one time, and I couldn't believe my eyes. He had a couple airball mid-range, and then he was just knocking down threes, and obviously he ended up scoring 30 points, which is amazing for him. I think he's going to be featured more in the offense with Kylan not in the lineup, and this is why we brought him over. He averaged 17, whatever it was, points per game coming into last season, and coming into the year, everyone thought he was going to be an all Big Ten type player, and now's his time to shine. He showed that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Terrence Shannon dealt with whatever Terrence Shannon was dealing with, the legal issues and the battle. And Marcus Domask really showed up to play in such a big way. And kind of it was his coming out era when Terrence Shannon Jr. was out. And then you look at this year's team with the potential of Kylan Boswell being out a month or 3 weeks, depending on the health of that hand. This is the time when Andre can really showcase what he can do. I mean, 9 for 18 from behind the field today, 9 rebounds, and one of my favorite stats of this whole thing, 0 turnovers for Stojakovic tonight. That was just a well-done, efficient game from him.
Yeah, obviously you can see on the stat sheet that he had a great game, and what you don't see is that he was guarding Maryland's best player too. Coit got going a little bit in the first half, and and I'm sure other people too thought that we were going to see another 30 or 25-point performance by someone on the other team, and Coit just had 43 or whatever it was against Penn State. So I was a little nervous to start the game, but we really settled in defensively. Andre locked in on him and really had a great defensive performance tonight.
At Lazy Forrest Gump, thank you for commenting. He says, crazy, a 12-8-7 night from Keaton is his worst game in a month. It was just unreal. I mean, you look at Keaton tonight. He had those 13 points, and he was 1 for 9 from behind the 3-point line. Not that great of a game, but still got his at the end of the day.
Yeah, 1 for 9 is tough on the eyes, but he did have a decent game. He ended up playing 32 minutes, 13 points. Had a solid game other than his 3-point shooting, and he's just one hell of a player. I want to tweet at Jay Wright. I think Jay Wright needs to make a comment on Keaton Wagler. I saw a couple jump stops today. He never really gets off his feet when driving in the basket, always makes the right decision. I just feel like he'd be a perfect Villanova guard, and Jay Wright would love him. But, yeah, Keaton had a tough day shooting, and he still played decent, and we won by a million points, so not too worried.
I think more Illini fans need to talk about Jake Davis. Jake Davis, 4 for 6 from behind the 3-point line tonight. He does what he does. He had his 4 rebounds. He had 2 assists. And again, no turnovers. He does not make mistakes. And it's just amazing to see him play at such a consistent level and such a high level and just play within his role.
Yeah, I've been on the play Jake Davis train for a while now. I think he's a great role player, makes right decisions, doesn't turn the ball over, and he's shooting over 40% from three. He made a bunch tonight, and I was really impressed by his three offensive rebounds too. If you get that out of him, in addition to his shooting and his smart decision making, I think it's hard to take him off the floor. I know he's not going to do anything crazy defensively. He's not going to, dunk on anyone. It doesn't look so pretty, but he makes open shots. He makes the right decision, and that's exactly what you want from a role player.
I mean, Coit, for the defensive effort that Illinois gave tonight, 70 points for the Maryland Terrapins. David Coit, 15 points, and that's after some major 40-point explosions in the past this season. So I think well done by the Illini defense alongside their always terrific offensive performances.
Yeah, like I said, Andre did a good job on Coit, and I know we've seen a couple random players go off, but we've done a good job on Tyson, Martinelli, other players to really take them out of their game. And I think that's been a game plan throughout the season so far. We're not going to get beat by someone that is a one-man team. I know Bruce Thornton had a day when we played Ohio State, but since then I think we've really locked in defensively. And this offense is just so fun to watch. I haven't seen Ken Palm refreshed yet, but we were the number one offense going into the game, and we scored 89 points against Maryland. And Saturday night's matchup, or Saturday during the day matchup, I should say, is going to be 1 versus 2 offense, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, who was your player that you appreciated the most from this dominating performance?
Yeah, I think Andre's the easy pick, but I kind of touched on it a little bit before. Jake Davis is probably my most appreciated. 3 offensive rebounds, and he just spaces the floor offensively. Even if he has a game where he doesn't have any rebounds or any assists, I think he's still good for the offense. You won't see that on the box score, but he really is just a floor spacer, moves the ball, moves really well off the ball, and just works hard defensively. I know he's not the greatest defender ever, but he does what he needs to do, and I think he's just underappreciated overall.
What do you think is Mihilio up to? I mean, tonight you thought it was going to be his major game with Kylan Boswell out. He only played 4 minutes. What do you think the disconnect here between Illini fans' expectations and what Brad Underwood is probably seeing in practice?
Yeah, I figured Petrovic wouldn't start, but I figured he'd play a little bit more. I think he had a couple decent plays today. He missed a layup in traffic, and we've seen that a few times. I think he's just a little guard, needs to get used to playing in college basketball with the size and the athleticism over here in the United States compared to what he was playing in Europe. And I think we just have so many options. You can play, I know it's not ideal, but if you need Andre to take the ball up, he's a guard. You need Merkovich to take up the ball, he can. And I think we can just exploit other matchups without Petrovic. But there is going to be games down the line that we need him. So we need him to stay ready, even if he's a little bit displeased with his playing time.
I think the depth is incredible on this Illini team, because if you would have told me that Keaton was 1 for 9 from behind the 3-point line, only had 13 points, and Big Z only had 1 point in 9 minutes, I would have been like, ooh, did Maryland really get one over on the Illini tonight? That's not really a recipe for success, but the depth of what you've seen from the likes of Stojakovic with 30 points, Mirkovic with 15, Jake Davis with another 12, and then Tomislav kind of taking the Ivisic crown tonight, carrying the Ivisic twin load. So it really feels like the depth of this team is just unreal, and I can't wait to see what that looks like on Saturday against Purdue.
Yeah, there's just so many weapons on this team, and I don't think anyone really cares how many points they score. They just want to win, which doesn't happen often in college basketball. Those are the type of teams that make a run. And if you look at the national champions or the Final Four teams, they can win in multiple ways. If you want to slow the game down, sure. If you want to speed it up a little bit, sure. If you stop, someone's best player, you have other guys that can step up. Similar to the Domask and TSJ and Coleman Hawkins type team. This team has so many options to win. If one guy's having a bad night, someone on the bench will come in and make shots like we saw tonight.
Lazy Force Gump says again, Jake Davis, what we wanted Luke Goody to be. I can kind of see it. He is a player that comes in, plays his role, and just does what he needs to do. He doesn't think the stage is too bright at times. He just puts his head down and is a very big lunch pail and hard hat type of player.
Yeah, I've said a lot about Jake already, but you need those type of guys. How your role players play will determine how you win a lot of games. You see it in the NBA all the time, and especially in the playoffs. If a role player plays terrible on the road, they usually lose. So we need these type of guys to continue to play well, be ready, and similar to Ben and even Petrovic and other guys coming off the bench, those guys are huge.
He also says no hook and hold call tonight might have been the biggest victory. I mean, just for the world of college basketball, we need to limit those hook and hold calls. So if you had DraftKings, no, you probably won a lot of money on the no hook and holds on the prop bet tonight.
Yeah, I talked about it the other day. I mean, the goal is to limit the monitor visits, and we've had a hook and hold that takes forever on the monitor every single game. And then, of course, he has some flagrants today that had to go to the monitor too to make the game a little bit longer. So we're always going to the monitor either way. And yeah, I still don't understand what the hook and hold is, but I guess we'll see moving forward.
If you had to come up with a single bit of like negativity on this game, like what would you like to see the Illini improve as they go into a major test against Purdue?
Yeah, I think there wasn't a huge negative in this game. Obviously, winning by 19 points. I think the defense was still figuring out how to play in the beginning of the game, and the Purdue offense is really going to test us on Saturday. Like I said, I think they're the number two ranked offense in all of college basketball. They have an All-American point guard. Fletcher Lawyer is a great shooter. Oscar Clough, TKR. I mean, they're going to challenge us on defense, and we didn't really come out great on the defensive end. I felt like they were kind of dictating what was going on, and we were down early. We're better than them, so we ended up figuring it out. But if that happens against Purdue, I mean, we're toast. So I'd love to see us improve there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the free throw totals for the Maryland Terrapins, and they had 16 free throws tonight, which is kind of almost the abnormality of what this Illini team has done. You look at their last game against Minnesota. Minnesota only shot 3 free throws the entire game. So I think figuring things out without Kylan at the front of the defense is kind of trying to get those puppies in order, as Raftery would say. So I think that's kind of the biggest challenge, is just figuring out things on the front end of that defense, and then that'll help out the Visich guys down low whenever it's their time defensively. So I think that was the biggest struggle factor for the Illini, is just something unique and something new that Illini fans haven't seen a lot, is just that free throw total.
Most definitely, yeah. We fouled a little bit more than usual, but we also got to the line a lot more than we do, so that kind of canceled it out, and we didn't have a lot of turnovers too. But that ball defense, especially at the beginning of the possession, that was huge by Kylan throughout the whole season. We saw it with Trent Frazier. We had some good Illinois teams too. Just that on-ball defense on the point guard, or even the other team's best player, goes a long way. And I don't know if we'll have it figured out by the time we play Purdue, but this was a nice game to get used to things, playing without Kylan, and hopefully it translates.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this team, Illinois. You look at their stats, points per possession tonight, 1.391. That is always a recipe for success when you're having 1.3 points per possession in the Big Ten, regardless of your opponent, and you still had one of your best players on the bench due to injury.
Yeah, this offense is humming right now. We got so many weapons, like I said. Merkovich had a couple of nice shots. Tommy looked like he is getting back to himself. And Illinois still ranked as the number one KenPom offense. And I'm hoping we stay there. We're barely over Alabama and Purdue, but it's a pretty wide margin with Michigan at number 4. So, having a top 6, top 5 offense going into the tournament is always huge. I think the last 10 champions have had a top 6 offense. So we're making shots, we're moving the ball, nobody's selfish. So that helps us win games.
I mean, I think Brad Underwood has got to be the most happy about this game, regardless of how good Maryland is this year. He goes to 4-9 against the Maryland Terrapins. This is a team that, no matter who the coach has been, they've always had his number.
Yeah, I mean, if we can beat Maryland, we can beat anyone, I think. I was at the Maryland game last year, and we lost 91-70, I think. And, the 23-24 Elite Eight team beat Maryland, and I know we beat them in MSG when we were bad, and we barely beat them. So if you can beat Maryland and get past those demons, you can beat anyone. It was finally great to see us get through that. We've lost 3 straight at home against Maryland, and I don't want to see that happen ever again.
At Illini IRY 91. Also, who woke Big Z up from his nap earlier? He had it out for not looking like a little girl tonight. I mean, there was the elbow in the head tonight by Big Z, but not a lot of positivity from his game tonight.
Yeah, he had 2 flagrant ones and wasn't kicked out of the game, even though the broadcast said that he was. And then they kind of went back on it that he was still able to play. And I was telling people that Underwood should just kick him out himself after 2 flagrants and just some bonehead plays. He ended up coming back in and playing fine and getting some good rebounds. But, I mean, he's got to be careful with those elbows. And I don't need him getting ejected from a big game.
Yeah, the plus minus tonight, Mirkovic 20, 28 for Stojakovic, Tomislav 26, Jake Davis at a 16, Big Z at 6. The worst one was Jason at minus 11. So pretty great plus minus tonight.
Yeah, that's what happens when you win by 19. I know Jason Jackson had a low plus minus. He barely played, though. It's nice to see him get some minutes. He had a couple good plays. Needs to knock down his free throws. But with Z in foul trouble, Jason had to play a little bit, and it's a nice third big guy off the bench. And, yeah, all good vibes, all good plus minuses from Illinois tonight. Hopefully that continues.
What is the matchup you're most looking forward to against Purdue for this Illini team?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily looking forward to it, but the most intriguing matchup would be Andre and Braden Smith. I think we're going to have to stick Andre on him, which isn't the best matchup for us. Braden is very quick, little guard, All-American, Big Ten Player of the Year. Obviously, Purdue just lost, but they're one of the best teams in college basketball. I'm interested to see how we defend him in pick and rolls, how Andre ends up defending him. And I think a lot of times the past couple of years we were doing some deep drops on Braden Smith's pick and rolls, and he was kind of just cooking in the mid-range, and he's just a really good player, so we need to definitely lock in on him, and they got really good other players too, so it'll be a tough task.
All right, Nebraska 7-0 in conference play, Michigan State, Purdue, and Illinois all at 7-1. What do you think is the final standings after it's all said and done between those 5?
Yeah, it's a top-heavy conference for sure. I think these 5 teams have separated themselves as true contenders. Wisconsin's kind of lurking in the distance, but I don't think they'll have a shot. Just looking at the schedule, Michigan plays Michigan State twice. They play us. They have the hardest schedule between these 5 teams, and obviously Michigan State plays Michigan twice too, just with the rivalry. I'm honestly kind of on the Nebraska train now. I was on the Purdue train before they lost to UCLA. They were still my pick to win the conference over Michigan. So I would have to choose between Nebraska and Purdue, but just based on schedule and Nebraska's home court, I'm kind of leaning towards Nebraska, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can't look at what Michigan did early on in the season and just immediately forget about them. I know they've kind of had some things figured out. It's been close games that they played, and obviously Wisconsin got the better end of their matchup. But I think Michigan still comes out on top. I think Illinois and Purdue finish 2 and 3, and I think Nebraska might fall off just a touch once or twice. I know it needs to be seen to believed, but I mean, I think Michigan, Purdue, and Illinois are your top 3 in the conference. I know Nebraska still has a game in the hand for all 3 of those.
Yeah, Nebraska's playing now, hosting Washington. Got it on in the background.
12-8, 12-10 now.
12-10. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll win tonight just based on schedule and just efficiency numbers. I think Nebraska has been the best both offensively and defensively in conference play. But, of course, Michigan's number 1 in KenPom probably still, and one of the they've been blowing out teams like crazy. So definitely possible for them to still win it. I think Michigan State, obviously great coach with Tom Izzo, but their offense is just not very good. They kind of grind teams out, which won them the conference last year. I just think with these really good teams, they're not going to be able to win it.
The Armchair Illini podcast is pumped to team up with Campus Inc.'s official Illinois NIL store. Get officially licensed gear from your favorite Illini stars, Luke Altmaier, Kylan Boswell, the Avicic brothers, and even Coach Brown Underwood merch. Support your favorite Illini and use the code Armchair Illini for 15% off your order. That's code Armchair Illini for 15% off of your order. So, Robby, you look at this schedule here for the Illini without Kylan Boswell moving forward. Obviously, you have Purdue, Washington, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Michigan State, and Wisconsin all in the month of February. And then if you go into Indiana and USC, how worried are you about this stretch for the Illini without Kylan Boswell now that you've seen them in action without him?
Definitely worried for the big games. I'm not too worried about Washington, Northwestern, games at home that we should be able to win without him. But I am worried about Purdue, worried about Nebraska, Michigan State, their West Coast road trip. Hopefully he's back by then, but I wouldn't count on him being back in exactly a month. I'm hoping he's back for that Michigan game on February 27th. So not too worried about winning the games you're supposed to win, but obviously playing at Purdue, at Michigan State, and at Nebraska, all without Kylan Boswell, those will determine who's going to win the conference. And I'm fine with not winning all three or even winning two. I think if we could win one of those games, that'd be huge, but those are going to be really tough games without him.
If this is your first time watching Armchair Illini, make sure to follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Armchair Illini. Visit armchairillini.com for all the best written work on men's basketball and football from Robby Nardini, the guy right next to me, Alex Chi, and Kirkland Chappell. And then also subscribe on YouTube and the Substack. So give us a preview of what you're going to talk about in the Substack coming up.
Yeah, just had a new every Monday morning. We got the newsletter coming out, so feel free to subscribe and get some Illinois news to your inbox every Monday morning. Usually talk a little recruiting, talk about the schedule coming up. Last week I talked a little bit about Illinois tying their win streak total in the Brad Underwood era. Tonight we tied our win streak at 8 games. The 2020-2021 team had that going into the unfortunate Loyola game. But yeah, that's just a little sneak peek of what we got going on. Sometimes I'll throw in some tournament resume stuff, but we're always tweeting it out too on Twitter. So definitely follow me at Robby Nardini on there for everything Illini.
At Lazy Forrest Gump says, got to give Mike LaTulip his flowers. He said Nebraska was a sleeping giant 8 months ago. Well done on that by Mike LaTulip. What makes Nebraska so good in your eyes, Robby?
Yeah, they're a very experienced team. Rink Mask is one of the best players in the Big Ten. He redshirted last year and is playing again this year. And they barely lose at home. I think 2 years ago I don't think they lost at all, or maybe they lost once at home. And they have one of the best home courts in the whole Big Ten. So it's hard to beat them on the road. Rink Mask is really good. They got Bryce Sanford coming in from Iowa, and he's really been able to stretch the floor, be a nice wing for them. And then Hoiberg, the point guard. Obviously, the coach's son. He's not just playing because he's the coach's son. He's really good at his position, gets into the paint a lot, is really the facilitator and leader of the team. But at the end of the day, they're an old team. They're able to kind of grind out wins. They've won a lot of road games because of their experience. And you saw against Illinois, they shot the lights out against us. If you don't guard them well, they'll make you pay for sure.
Robby, I want to thank you for joining tonight. This has been the Armchair Illini post-game reaction to the 89-70 victory where Stojakovic scored 30 points. It was a season high tonight for the Illini, and a season high, actually, for him in an Illini uniform. So credit to Stojakovic for keeping the Illini afloat without Kylan Boswell in this 89-70 victory. Thank you so much for joining me, Robby. And again, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. We want to get to 1,000. That's our main big-time goal right now. We've passed the 600 threshold, so tell your friends, share this link on Facebook, and share it on Twitter, and tell people to subscribe. We'll be doing this a lot. So thank you again, and this has been the Armchair Illini podcast.